insecurity is caused by characteristics we have that make us feel ugly, undesirable, envious, and can heavily affect our self-esteem and confidence towards others. There are plenty of things to be insecure about, but not enough reasons to justify them, in my opinion. We simply have things that make us different from the average. As someone who wasn't blessed with the blood of Adonis, I thought I'd share some of my insecurities, hopefully to give it less power over me and maybe give you the realization that it's not so bad feeling different. The first one is probably the obvious one. I am short. I've been short my entire life, and it wasn't until I was around 20 when I finally admitted to myself that my growth spurt would never come. I'm currently 5 feet 2 inches tall and have told people that I'm 5'3", with a mindset that I'm 5'2 and a half with shoes on, so I might as well round up an inch. The problem with that is it doesn't matter in the eyes of taller people, because to them, anyone under 5'5" is automatically rounded down to the nearest foot, so I guess to anyone who asks, I am now 5 feet tall. Being short has always affected my self-esteem. Pants didn't feel like they matched my proportions, and men's shoes are rarely in my size, so I never really enjoyed shopping for clothes. I had to accept that fashion designers had to cater to an average that I didn't fit into, which, from a business perspective, makes total sense. Back to the kids section, I go. Sometimes people got first world struggles, and one of mine is finding clothes that fit. I always found myself out of league with girls when it came to the dating game, because there's the false notion that all hetero women want a man who's at least a whole story taller than them. I think their reasoning was that they found it cute when they have to travel a flight of stairs to give their boyfriend a kiss, but with most of my exes and my current partner being taller than me, let me remind you to stop dropping this, my short kings. That's right, there's hope for you. Yes, it may seem unfair that the one you're interested in has a taste for colossal titans, but you can't get mad at people for having a type. For every girl that said ew upon reading your height on Tinder, there's probably just as many that said the same after seeing your picture. That's right, fellas, it has nothing to do with height, you're probably just unattractive, and that's actually very normal. Sometimes it just be like that. I've always felt disadvantaged when it came to sports because 95% of them make it so taller people have, well, the upper hand. Not all short guys can be Hinata from Haikyuu. Sometimes we're just short with the appropriate level of hops proportionate to our height. There are things I jump for every day that many of you simply reach for. Basketball was hard, volleyball was hard, and even though I liked track, it was hard seeing that some of my teammates literally needed half the strides I took to do a lap. But I still have fun with sports because there are definitely situations where being smaller has its moments. I have a flat nose, and no amount of daily pinching from my mom was enough to change that. Glasses always felt a little awkward to wear because it doesn't fit nicely on my nose bridge, so I'm glad the daily 15-hour exposure to screen monitors hasn't ruined my eyesight yet. I often had other kids call me pig-nosed while making oinking sounds, and while it felt condescending, at least it didn't extend past that and indicate an underlying appetite for human flesh. You know how much kids love bacon. On top of that, well, more like inside of that, there's my long nose hairs. Well, they're not draping out of my nostrils, but some do manage to peek out. I mean, as an adult, most people I interact with are taller than me, so they don't have the angle of exposure. But again, other kids like to point them out when I was younger. You know, I'm starting to feel like the root of most insecurities are just kids pointing out things about you that don't necessarily need to be brought up. Hey, did you know you have long nose hairs? Oh shit, okay, and? Is that attractive? Does it offend your religion? Are you envious of the fact that the air I inhale better filters out bacteria and lessens my risk from asthma? Well, in that case, thanks, I grow them myself. I've had deep eye bags ever since I was a kid, and it got no better through my years of school, and definitely worsened after discovering video games and getting my own laptop. People would always think I looked tired, and they were right. I was tired of people pointing out my big forehead, which is why my hair went from this to this. Because kids are observant assholes, but I eventually grew a liking to it anyway, so maybe I should be grateful to them. I also have really thin hair, and it's probably the reason why I don't cut my hair short anymore, because in doing so, looking at my head at certain angles make it appear as if I have bald spots. I already have eye bags making me feel old. I don't need simulated balding in my life right now. Not that there's anything wrong with being bald, I'm just in denial that I'm aging. I am definitely still in my 20s. 2020 never happened, Therefore, my 30th birthday never happened. I don't consider this one as bad, and I've actually grown to embrace them, but I have feminine fingernails. Or at least that's what people have pointed out. It was definitely just toxic masculinity that made me feel offended about it, but it doesn't bother me now. I am, however, still a little bothered about my knuckle hairs. Well, they're not really on my knuckles. What even is this part of the finger called? What is this part of the finger called? The proximal phalanx. Yeah, what's the point of hairs specifically just there? Why not the middle or distal phalanx? I'm not insecure about them, I just want answers. And finally, I am self-conscious about my perma-erect nipples. Am I allowed to talk about this? Is this flaggable? Any stalagmites in chat? They've been that way my whole life. It is why I avoid white t-shirts, because they're less visible with black and darker colored shirts. And even then, with the right lighting, or I guess the wrong lighting, they cast shadows and reveal themselves, which has probably contributed to my bad posture in the attempts to hide them. If you ever invite me to the beach or a pool party, I'm either staying out of the water with my shirt on, or I'm always iceberged, while I envy the guys with pepperoni toppings. Daddy, look, there's narwhals in the water. Oh, son, those aren't narwhals. It's just a short, balding pig. There's a lot about ourselves we can feel insecure about, but I believe it's because we feel singled out, as if being different is a negative. Or you're probably in some toxic relationship